everybody. Welcome, and thanks for tuning in. It's Ian here along with Chris,
Hello.
giving you a rundown of a little something we stumbled across on Netflix. Love, Death, and Robots, if I'm saying that in the right order. Should
You
be
are. You are.
awesome. This delivers exactly what it promises.
You
Love,
know what?
Death, and
You should
Robots.
just stop because you're biased, and actually we're both biased, but
Yeah,
we're on the opposite ends. I, now we talked about this I think a few months ago.
yeah.
There was some kind of announcement, or we caught it. We talked about it on our weekly podcast, The Jagged Edge, just about every week, but not for the next two. So we will look at all of our other ones. Um, I love this show. I am in love. Thank you, Netflix. All right, so just for those who don't know, this is an anthology series of animated shorts, I should say. I was going to say animations, but animated shorts, given various styles, telling various stories.
Mhm.
None of them are related, and it's gold.
Some of it, not all of it. Some of it. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
no,
so,
so
so
obviously I really enjoyed it. Overall, I think this is a great thing. I was psyched when this was announced that they were doing it, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I am ecstatic that something like this exists right now more
right,
than anything else. That being said, no, it is not perfection.
right.
It is not perfection, but
Right,
it's
right.
it's pretty close.
Cool. So, hey, jumping
Oh,
into this thing, digging into it. This is a total of, I don't think you mentioned this, 18? 18, right?
yeah, that's 18, I guess.
Yeah, we've got 18 total shorts. Some are shorter than others. The length varies, but you're getting the whole gambit here as far as like art mediums. You got traditional animation, like 2D style. You've got, frankly, some gorgeous 3D. Animation, and then even like some cell shaded styles and stuff like that. So I could safely say I don't think I've seen anything like this since the Animatrix. That's the last thing I think
That's
that came.
very similar.
Very
Very
similar.
similar.
Very similar.
That, however, all had one core story
It
structure.
did.
Well, not structure, but it was all about the Matrix.
It did. It
Well,
did.
this is not about anything like that at all. This
Yeah,
is all about crazy animation.
and it's exactly what it promises. Love, Death, and Robots. You're gonna see a
Yep.
lot of that in all kinds of different forms. So
Yep.
looking at these and how they're, sort of spread out and disjointed. It's funny. I've already seen some people posting up the playlist for these. It's like, this is how you should watch it, or like, here's the order you should look at it. Like here are some of the ones you can check out in this order, stuff like that.
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense. I guess if here's the best way to digest it. It's not like when you're eating dinner, you eat your dessert first. That may be an attractive idea, but no, you gotta eat the corn and the chicken.
There you go. You
Yeah, you
get the peas, get the green beans.
eat it in order.
See?
Yeah. So no, I guess that makes sense. I don't know. I watched these all out of
Yeah.
sync. I finished the last two this morning.
Well, there you go.
So
There you go.
I don't think that matters too much. I guess maybe for some it does. For me,
Right.
it didn't. But
So let's cut more into this, and I think why this is an important release, because I think that's a really key thing to cover. As I was mentioning, this has got some really stellar production values behind it for all the styles used. Some of the CG stuff is just absolutely gorgeous. Might well be some of the best we see this year. I don't know, but it's important to note here just where I think we're coming from in this in the cut. I jump all the way back to the 80s, the days of heavy metal. Um,
mm,
Back then, I think getting something animation-wise or something, or even just jumping into nerddom with something with the MA label was something so rare.
mm,
Things now like, heavy metal and stuff, think back to the anime Akira, stuff like that became, cult classics because in large part, I'd argue it was something, rare to get something with that, MA label that you had content behind it without it just, being just outright porn. Or something like that. You had these works, and people picked different branches of them. Some people got more into like Japanese animation. Others, like I said, was more towards like heavy metal magazine. But the key to look at here is I think Netflix really tapped into something here, and they're aware that the looking for types of content like that, it's still out there. People still want this stuff,
oh
and
yeah.
and I think the way that they approached it, I mean, everything, seriously, everything from like sci-fi to steampunk to like lichens and, like werewolves and stuff like that. To like, you've got like a melting pot of all kinds of like nerd culture, like mishmashed in here. And so on their part, I think that was really astute. Um, and a really cool way to, look at that and tap into it and really be, had that kind of awareness, for the audience. My thing, looking at this though, the quantity we have, for me it comes down to a bit of a quantity versus quality. I think there's some masterpieces within here. We're going to talk about specific shorts as we get further into the discussion. But at the end of the day, I almost want to say, well, shoot, I'd even take some of these as a full TV series. Shorten this up and extend some of the really brilliant things you got here. Chris he caught my attention with this, and he alerted me to it. He said, "Hey, you need to check out Suits. Whatever you do first, just check out episode 4 of Suits." I'm like, "What's this about?" And here I get this basically Starship Troopers on a farm. It's the closest way I can describe it, and it was awesome.
Yes, it is awesome.
Absolutely awesome. Like, probably one of the coolest animated mech things that I've seen in even like the last like couple of years. Yeah, Armored Core, eat your heart out. But yeah, you've got ones like Suits that just come off absolutely fantastic. Others that shift, I think, less into the action end and more into the art end. I think a good example of that was Zima Blue. I thought that was brilliant, frankly, and it's a kind of foregone conclusion if you kind of look at it. That an artist that gets really complex and really complicated ultimately rolls back everything in a deconstruction or ends up imploding themselves somehow. It's usually how it goes. But the way they told that story in a short was awesome, really well done. Others you get like Shapeshifters. I thought that was actually solid. Fish Knight had some really cool animation. I remember that being in the trailers for this. The salesman that stuck out in the desert, and they're in like that ocean with like the sky ocean basically, and there's like the fish swimming through, and like that's great. Helping Hand and all of those come off really really well. And then you've got things done. There's one of which I thought was really tasteful. Tasteful use of the MA label. That's the Good Hunting. That was the Asian style.
Yeah, Good Hunting was really good. Actually, a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Same. That was a pleasant surprise. I think it treads on a little bit of Kill Bill territory. You got some steampunk use. You got shapeshifter, ancient Asian mythos. There's a lot of good stuff there, but it's elegantly done, which is awesome. So I sift through this. And I say, all right, there's this handful that I really like, and I'm sure we can talk more about those too. But I look at the rest that I can't get into as much from these, and I went over about that's about 5 or so out of the 18 were presented. There's others with this that the one thing I'll let slide a little bit is sort of taking a theme or taking a joke and just hammering it into the ground. Okay, fine, you can have that. But there's some topics that get broached on here and things that are visited that don't really seem to do much for what we have in the medium. I think one of the most egregious there would be Sonny's Edge. I think that's one of the first.
That is
episodes.
The first one. What didn't you like about Sonny's Edge?
Well, I mean, Sonny's actual edge was an awesome thing, but I think it's a little bit disingenuous, if anything, to sort of bring up, some hefty stuff. You talk about tried into like gang rape and all that kind of stuff, but only as far as a very very light plot vehicle. It's just the way they tread territory that's just sort of sloppy, in my opinion at least. I can't help but say if the whole work had done that, topics like this, and I see that's where the whole trajectory is going, I get it. But it's kind of rough for me, man. I compare Good Hunting with that, the way those two things are approached. I'm like, man, one seemed to hit this mark pretty well, and the other, it just sort of just goes into the bounds of needless gratuity, honestly, my opinion. But yeah. So, right. What did you dig about Sonny's Edge?
It was beautiful. I thought it was a great revenge story.
Right.
I don't know. I think I approach this a little bit differently than you are. I mean, you have to look at the series as a whole,
Yeah.
and it does need to be judged in that way as well. But I think for me, I take each story on its own merit, and no, some of them were not very good.
Right.
Looking through here, where is it? Where there was one that I thought was horrible, actually, and the one with Hitler,
Yeah, that was stupid.
that was really bad. And at the same time, I appreciate all the different styles in here.
Sure.
I was a little surprised that there were so many photorealistic 3D
There were.
animations.
There were.
Not that I don't mind that; it's one of my preferred styles. I mean, it was one of my majors in college, so I definitely appreciate that. But I was a little surprised there were so many. But I mean, I guess for me, there's not. I don't think besides that one. There wasn't a single one in here that I couldn't appreciate. Some of these had really good stories. Some of these didn't have very good stories.
Hmm.
Some of it was an excuse to do the animation.
Right.
Some of it was an excuse just to be trying to think of the word so mature, to make something so mature.
Yeah.
Um, but at the end of the day, I take that. I'm trying to think of the right words here. Sorry, I have not had the opportunity to do the research I would have liked to on this, but
Hmm.
I take each video for its own merit. So when I look at the series, as a whole, I'm nothing but thrilled that it exists. And yeah,
Sure.
they didn't all knock it out of the park, but overall, I just appreciate it. Um, it, for short stories, I think some of them do a really good job of giving you a good tale. Well, at the same time, some of them just are just like, well, here's a moment in time.
Sure.
And I think The Witness is a good example of that, which actually I would have liked to have liked a lot more than I did.
I was about to visit that when I was going to ask you about it. Yeah.
Sucker of Souls seems a little out of place overall throughout the
Yeah.
whole thing. Um, but yeah, it's let's see, Beyond the Aquila Rift.
Yeah.
I think that one sticks out for most people, but because that is such a shocking um, difference between what he's seen and then what reality is.
Right.
Yeah, Good Hunting really did stick out. I actually didn't think I was going to like Good Hunting at all, and then they got into it. I'm like, well, this is pretty badass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see, looking at Shapeshifters, I thought was badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think overall it does a really good job of bringing you alternative stories through an alternative media.
Hmm. Hmm.
And if I looking, you got to look at each episode and look at it at its own merits. And for the most part, I would grade them above average to excellent. But I think the show as a whole really knocked it out of the park,
Hmm.
and brought us, like you said at the beginning, brought us exactly what it said it was going to. And I think it did a really good job. Would I like to have seen, or at least have an overall feel that they didn't rely so much on risque things? Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit too much of a shock factor. And not that there isn't quality there, but it's a
Hmm.
little too easy.
Yeah.
I think that gets maybe relied on a little too much in some cases, but
Right.
at the same time, you got to remember the medium. The medium is to visually wow you, and they will be a little over the top.
Hmm.
At the same time, for shorts like this, talking from my own experience, shorts like this, you will tend to put more of a focus, and sometimes too much of a focus, on the visual storytelling,
Sure.
um, because that's where you are. That's the medium that you're working in, and your brain is on that so much as someone in the production.
Sure.
And sometimes the story overall will suffer for it. You will try to you'll go too far on the visual aspect, and your story elements will be a little light, and that
Yeah.
happened in a couple cases.
It did.
But at the end of the day, I can't. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. Give me the next season.
Hmm. Hmm.
Tomorrow. Tomorrow. Bring it.
You touched on something about shock value. And why I think shock value on its own is a sort of weak argument to validate everything as to, why it's awesome. I'd even say in some ways that's expected with something, MA, rated. If anything, I think some of the beauty of works
Mm,
like this is that when they're able to show how good a story they are without,
hmm
blowing you out of the water with a shock moment or whatever. Let me go to Game of Thrones. It's a good example. It's one reason why I could never get into it. Some of the first footage I ever saw of Game of Thrones, someone said, go watch the bloody wedding scene, whatever else. And
Yeah,
I think that was just
yeah.
happening. And dude, that didn't do anything for me. It was less of a, oh my God, I have such an issue with like but it's just like, this is just, I mean,
Well, I think somebody introduced that to you inappropriately
yeah,
because
yeah,
using Game of Thrones from enough of what I've seen, they don't just rely on that stuff. There's actually quite the plot, and
good.
the characters are very three dimensional. And I think that might be a bad example, but I get what you're saying. It's and when you have short stories that you're telling once and you're probably never going to revisit again, as far as
Right.
these characters in this world. The artists are getting out what the artists want to get out,
Sure.
and it's again, I want to reference what you had brought up earlier on in our review here, which is things like heavy metal and such, and a lot
Yeah.
of the more mature animations of yesteryear,
Hmm.
to use a yesteryear statement. Um, that was kind of the thing, and I don't
Yeah.
mind it, and in some cases I like it. In fact,
Sure.
in most cases I like it, but there are times when it's like, well, yeah, all right. I mean, you're fine, but you could have done better had you done this.
Sure.
It's part of the genre. It's part of the mature animation genre.
Sure.
So I there was a couple times when I was like, oh, okay, well, all right, here we go. But hey, that's part of the hardcore audience for it.
Hmm.
Um, it's a shame because I think there is a middle ground that could be taken in mass
Yeah.
from audiences, but for one reason or another, for the most part, production studios are afraid to sit there
Yeah.
and go into that area. They think that well, it won't be enough for the hardcore fans, and casual fans won't be interested because they think animation is for kids.
Right.
Uh, it's I think that this anthology series is a step in the right direction. I would like to see it be a little less gratuitous in the next season, which I'm pretty sure it'll get. People are loving this thing.
Sure.
It's pretty popular so far. So, um, yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
think it's a step in the right direction.
and see,
I love it.
here's the funny part. I think this is why you're so dead wrong calling me a hater about this, because
You're a
I
hater.
wholeheartedly agree with that. This
Well, then
actually
quit
is
hating.
this actually is a step in the right direction, and we need, you know what, the to jump out on something like this to where there really nobody was tackling it before. Yeah, it needs to be. It's been a really long time since you had something like this, especially in the streaming service space. I don't think there's been something quite like it for streaming yet. And the direction they're going with it, and as far as just like getting this out there and having this be a thing, sure. I think dredging up lowest common denominator stuff from like nerd demographic and just hammering that into the ground, aka the gratuity and stuff like you said, it's a little much and it's not needed for this. I think they've gone through lengths to prove that this can stand without that. Uh, I gotta do a quick look at like Lucky 13, for example. That was killer.
That
Uh,
might have been the best one in the whole
that
series.
was very, very good.
There
Like,
were moments when I remember when like the first 10 seconds or so, I'm like, are we getting another? Is this animation?
yeah, yeah,
It was
absolutely.
really good. You can tell, like, not even much
No,
further on, but initially you're like, oh, they're going to do another live action mixed with animation. Like, wait a second, no, they're
exactly,
not. No, they're
exactly.
not.
And I say that I come from an angle having gone through. I mean, Chris has gone through Akira and stuff like that. I know as well, but being someone that's read like the seinen stuff out there. Or I've read all of Gantz. A good example. I mean, so grounds like this aren't unfamiliar. I think it's just the way they're presented and the way they're done. So, heck yeah, yeah, they should keep going with it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of tripping that you have here, and I would love to sift through the next and hopefully be able to say, all right, at least over half of these that I really really enjoy. Instead of just a handful, but I really hope it isn't that spastic as far as the way it jumps around.
That's why I'm calling you a hater.
So okay.
Name some of your favorites besides Suits. We both love Suits.
Yeah. I said I think I've been interspersing throughout, but let me throw them down here. So we both love Suits. I love Lucky 13. We were just talking about that. I love Zima Blue. In fact, I thought that was the most artsy of anything here. I thought it was pretty brilliant, to be honest. Like I said, Shapeshifters was solid. Actually, I put Good Hunting. Good Hunting in that spot above Shapeshifters. Shapeshifters was cool, but Good Hunting took the cake. Helping Hand was amazing. That was good too. That was the girl out in space. And then that was hardcore. Hardcore.
Well, I don't think anyone will disagree that wasn't hardcore.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
That took me back to Berserk. If any of you out there have seen Berserk, you know the scene I'm talking about. But
in no particular order for me, and again, you said it's Suits. Suits is great. I love Three Robots. That was so cool.
I thought that one was lame. That's just me.
You thought it was lame?
Yeah, I couldn't get into that one, man. So
I loved how I loved how at the end they're like, oh look, they have a message about taking care of the earth. And it's like, no, there's talking cats now.
Yeah. The cat was good. Great. The cat was good.
Beyond the Aquila Rift, I thought was fantastic. That just visually, I think that was one of the best ones.
Visually, that was pretty out there.
That was, I mean, that was just like, boom. When you see the reality that he's in, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Holy crap, you're screwed. You are screwed. Shapeshifters, I thought Helping Hand was fine. It didn't really stick out for me too much, though.
Right.
Lucky 13, like you said. Let's see, going through here. The Secret War. I loved The Secret War.
I didn't get into that one a whole lot.
Oh my gosh. I don't know, man. You're hating on it. This was great. Bring me season 2 tomorrow.
Oh man.
that and Endgame. Bring them tomorrow. I'll watch them both.
Will you put popcorn on your ears for both?
I might.
All right. Popcorn bags rather. So. One we're jumping over that I've seen talked about a lot about this, and I see this in all the promo stuff. People keep yammering about it. What'd you think of when the yogurt took over?
It was fine. Yeah. I didn't like or dislike it. Hey, the yogurt told them to stay to the algorithm they gave them.
Yep.
And they veered off it. So yeah, listen to the yogurt.
I just laughed about how significant Ohio became.
Ohio's a beautiful state.
Yeah. It is. It is. I have nothing against Ohio as a state. I mean,
if I had to pick a state that would be mine,
right,
in the United States, it would probably
slow down.
I really love Wisconsin. I'm from Wisconsin, so but I guess putting my bias aside, it might just be Ohio. It would definitely be up there. What would you pick?
Man, okay.
I know it won't be Illinois.
No.
Which is where he's from.
Oh man, you know what? Illinois is technically home. So it's what I call it. I was born in Tennessee, but my heart's in Illinois, man. I got it.
Right.
Golly, man. Any state I can.
Yep.
That's rough. You know what? Off the top of my head, let me see what I can do with Nebraska.
Really, Nebraska?
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe that could be a little biased speaking. I love my time there. I was there between Lincoln and Omaha. But yeah, give me the rest of the state. Let's see what we can do besides good red meat, good football.
So overall, Ian, what would you like to see them do for season 2?
You know what? We're really on the same page about some of the excess gratuity and stuff like that. I think if they sort of lock in that dial with honestly just the solid storytelling, this thing's gonna just do do what it needs to itself. I think you hit a lot of the keys with that. I guess the other thing that again I just insert with that is I think not having to worry about hammering something or a joke into the ground until it's beyond dead. If you're going to delve into something super hefty like gang rape and stuff like that, throwing that around so loosely without it tying into as much, I think is a little bit much of a step. So the stuff that they wade into, tie it together good. Cut the fat, lose a bit of the excess. I think you're going to have something really solid here. I just think there's a little too much fat trimming right now.
Hey, I don't. That's you're talking about less. I'm talking about more. I want another 18 episodes plus another 10.
Well,
and I want more, and I want them to do exactly what they did here, but then I want them to do other things too. And you know what? Throw in a couple animes with a message.
Sure.
About the environment. Throw in some of that. Throw in, give me more.
I think you're mischaracterizing what I'm saying by less. I'm not saying by less as in let's cut the show down and give, we necessarily have to have fewer episodes. Bump up to that same level I'm seeing for those like 5 or 6 that I think are really awesome. If this is, look, I'll say this. If this is another 19 or 20, cool. All right. But if they're all on that level, man, I'd be down with that. Even though they won't be, I know it's not going to be perfect. But if at least more, over half, at least over half. So,
well, all right. I don't know if I agree because I think these were all made by different people, or at least most of them were.
Could definitely tell.
So you're gonna, I think what you're talking about is more of a relevancy of taste.
Yeah, could be.
So, hater.
You wish. You wish.
I don't wish at all. I wish for season 2 now.
Fair enough.
That's what I wish for. All right, are we rating this?
We're rounding this bin out of 10. What?
No. Well, it's a TV show, so we gotta go 5.
Okay, out of 5.
Go 5. Go 5 on the TV shows. 1 out of 5. Put some damn clothes on, robot. Put some damn clothes on. Cover yourself up. 1 out of 5. What are you giving it?
You first.
Me first. All right, I'm giving it a 4.5.
4.5. Wow, up there,
yep.
man.
It
up
is.
There.
It is.
Up
pretty
there.
Close. Pretty close to perfect.
Wow.
But not perfect, but pretty close.
You know what? I came into this. I came into this on the grounds of 2.5.
I shouldn't have shown you Suits right away. I think that was the problem. I think
you set the bar too high, man. You set it a little too high. You know what? That's the funny part. I agree with you. If I hadn't seen Suits first, I probably would have had a different. Maybe I would have had a different take overall. But you know what?
Awesome.
Coming out of this, looking at this in its entirety, I'm gonna move that 0.5 up to a 3. Mainly because this is really niche. There is not anything else like it. They're at least setting the bar, and I think they can do more with this. I really think this is something we can see further. So yeah, it is something I want to see again. They've already shown they got the production value, amazing production value behind it. But thematically, just to see where the rest of that goes. So that's my take.
Going to have a lot of fun as the weeks and months go by here, researching each of these individual videos and learning about the production that went in behind them. That's the stuff for me. Again, video production was my other major in college was 3D modeling and animation. So there were times I was just sitting at the screen just drooling.
Man, from a visual standpoint, for sure. If you have any kind of appreciation with this, I didn't delve into video as much as you did. Audio was mainly my area, but graphic design and graphic art, mainly static, stuff and 2D design, that was an area I focused on a lot. So just looking at that, I guess just from the fidelity perspective, it's amazing. I think that's awesome. It's kind of crazy that so much of this I think is going to come down to who's directing and writing each one. I'd love to go from some of you were shoddy, actually a lot of you were shoddy, and some of you were just stellar, to be like, you're all stellar. I want to be able to say that. I'm just not there with this, though.
See, now let me just make a final point to that, because I don't want that. Because I think that if I came away from this, even though, we review a lot of things, and I try to keep a broad, unbiased perspective as far as not so much of what I like personally, but how well did they give us what they were trying to achieve.
Sure.
I think something of this nature, I think I kind of have to walk away not liking some of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that's a must. I don't think they did their job if I came away saying I loved every single one of them, because I think at that point they probably weren't hitting all the notes that they probably needed to, or at least close enough to hitting all those notes.
And saying you love something, quote unquote, I mean, that's subjective. I'm sure not everybody liked everything else in the Animatrix, right?
Everybody loved Suits, though.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Everybody
If you bleed red, you love Suits. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
If you're American,
yeah, you love Suits.
is the only thing more American than that thing was just being farmers, and the accents was the fact that they had mechs.
Right,
That's
right.
American right there.
Suits, just, I'm not gonna forget
Old
that.
lady smoking a cigar, driving a quad.
And she had a quad. She had a quad. How awesome is that?
Shooting missiles.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, that low center of gravity is where it's at. Man, that's
what she said.
burn. But yeah, Suits. That's it was worth it just for that for me, just for that. But
Good.
so anyway, hey, we want to hear your thoughts. What did you guys think? Did you love the whole thing? Were there certain episodes that you just didn't like? Maybe you're 50-50 or maybe something even less. Hey, let us know. Post down in the comment section right here below. And hey, if you guys dig what you're hearing, we'd love to get a like from you. Hey, even a sub on this channel to know when the rest of our content's going to be coming out. It'll help us a whole bunch, and you'll know when everything's going to hit.
Like and subscribe.
Listen to the whispers.
Don't listen to what he's saying about this series. It's really good. You want to follow a channel that love this? I know you do.
Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate it. You guys take it easy. We'll catch you again soon. Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, there anything we go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but if great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksawmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, dig up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.